Morning peeps, good morning. As per usual, hopefully everyone is doing very, very well. All right, no early morning stories today, no procrastinating. I have Addy and friends in about 45 minutes, so let's go on with this. Saunders, Eubank Jr. resume feud, trade vicious words. Resume feud. I feel like this feud has never really stopped, if I'm honest with you. It stopped for all of about a minute after Saunders beat Eubank, and since then, I mean, these guys have traded words since then. It's not stopped. I feel like it just kind of like goes like that, right? The words aren't as strong, but they're still there in the background, and ever so often it gets heightened, and I feel like it's got heightened now with this Canelo situation. Obviously, I don't know if you guys know, but it seems like Billy Joe Saunders has turned down the opportunity to fight Canelo. That's not in stone. I'm just reading between the lines here. It seems like he has been offered it on what you would call short notice, right? Because they are looking at Canelo fighting in September behind closed doors. So they've offered it on short notice. Some would say, is that short? I don't know, 6-7 weeks to get ready for a professional fighter. I think that's long enough. But they've offered it on short notice and less money. Obviously, again, because we are behind closed doors. Again, I'm not sure if that's 100% certain. I'm just going off the Twitter words of Billy Joe Saunders and the Twitter words of Chris Eubank Jr., who obviously know a lot more than I do. Now, Eubank Jr. has come at him and like basically laughed it off, like, how can you turn it down? Like, you know, just dissing Billy Joe Saunders again. I don't know, man, personally. That's my way of sitting my ass firmly on the fence with this. I just want those two to get it on again. Honestly, can we just get on Billy Joe Saunders versus Chris Eubank Jr. again in London when there are fans allowed? That fight easily sells out the O2 Arena, easily, just like that. Just like that. Tickets would sell out in a couple of days. In fact, maybe a day, right? It's such a interesting matchup again. And not only that, but it's not just the fights, it's the build-up you get from the fights, right? It's the you're going to have a couple of press conferences, right? They'll be silly not to. And then you get Chris Eubank Sr. getting involved again, as per usual. You get Eddie Hearn, who always takes the piss out of Chris Eubank Sr., although I don't think he should, but he does, right? Always does that voice, always tries to mimic him. So it will be so interesting, and it'll be an interesting fight. It will be an interesting fight. I will favour Billy Joe Saunders, just because I think he's the better boxer. But I think Chris Eubank Jr. is better at everything else, right? I don't know how much that matters, being a better athlete, living the life. Sometimes it just comes down to boxing ability, and Billy Joe Saunders has a lot more boxing ability than Chris Eubank Jr., but I will like to see it. As for these Canelo stakes, right, who's going to get the Canelo fight? I don't know, man. Callum Smith has put himself back in, saying that I will fight you, even if it's on short notice. It seems like even if it's less money. John Ryder's said he's opening to fight, or he's hoping to fight. Chris Eubank Jr. would like the fight. A lot of people, man, I've seen some 175 guys, like Sullivan Barrera, saying, look, I'll go down. And look, these guys obviously would struggle to make the weight, but that's how much they want the fight, the opportunity. So if Billy Joe Saunders has, and again, we're not sure here, has turned it down because it is a bit less money and because it is a shorter camp, then don't know. It's not a good look. It's not a good look because there are not many other fighters that would turn that down. Like David Lemieux saying he will take the fight. So you got a lot of fighters there, and these are not just bums I'm mentioning. A lot of fighters that want that Canelo opportunity. Again, I'm not 100% sure if Billy Joe Saunders has turned it down, but you only have to go and read these tweets to realize that that's probably the case, and that is disappointing. But enough of that. Just get Saunders versus Eubank in the ring so we can get this going again. Because, look, we never got, again, I've said this before, but we never got George Groves versus James DeGale. And those guys were digging each other all the way into their retirement, right? We never got it. Can we please get this one? We're talking about a world title on the line at a higher weight class. It's an interesting fight. It's an interesting fight. There aren't that many big British fights left. I'm thinking about the biggest ones that can happen. Obviously, you got the heavyweights. Let's remove the heavyweights for a second. Buatsi versus Yard isn't as big. There is no other big domestic fight. There isn't. It really isn't. So I'd love to get it on. And I think even me saying domestic fights, not doing it justice. It's a very good fight at world level, not just domestic. Fury versus Joshua would be big in America, says Top Rank exec. Would it? Would it really be big in America? I mean, I've spoken to a few Americans now, and they don't know who Joshua is. I mean, they're not massive boxing fans. They're casual boxing fans. And when I say Anthony Joshua, I mean, look, let me phrase that correct. They know who he is, but there isn't much interest. There isn't. No, there isn't. And I always feel like for a fight to be big in America, you need the casuals. For a fight to be big anywhere, when I say big, I mean big. You need the casuals on board. And I just don't think two Brits, look, I just think that's wrong anyway, if I'm honest with you. Two Brits fighting in America would piss me off. Like, I know people might say, Ade, but you're accepting it in Saudi Arabia. I'm not accepting it. If it happens over there. But I would be more upset about it in America just because, look, we are, in boxing terms, always been the younger brother to America, right? This is fact. I know some people think maybe a couple of years ago we caught up with them, but we're still the younger brother. So finally we got two British heavyweights dominating, right? Well, is AJ dominating? Not dominating, but you know what I mean, 1 and 2. So for that to go to America, a place that we've been trying to catch up, nah, blood. Nah, that's got to be over either here, which is ideal. And look, I've said this. I've been campaigning for Wembley Stadium. I just know it's not going to happen at Wembley Stadium. But for that to be in America, I know Tyson Fury's got his contract in America, right? So he has to fight in America, but nah. Especially when they won't have the passion that we've got for it. Like they won't. They'll turn up because it's a heavyweight fight, right? They'll push it. They'll go into the chat shows. They do what they do. They don't need to do anything here. They don't need to do nothing. The passion, the noise, the energy that would come from it being at Wembley or anywhere. Tottenham's new stadium's a beautiful stadium. Anywhere. Millennium. Is it called Millennium or Principality? Anywhere. And you're talking about going to America. Don't think so, people. I'm so upset if that happens. And it's likely. Funny thing is, America could be above Wembley. Could be above Wembley. Which is disgraceful. Disgraceful. All right. Will Fight Camp put boxing centre stage again, or is it Hearn's big vanity project? Bit of both, right? It's going to be a bit of both. There's nothing wrong with it being Eddie Hearn's vanity project. Nothing wrong at all. That's the thing about Eddie Hearn, that at least I feel like he shows look good. Like sometimes, and look, this is not a Matchroom fan channel. I hope you guys know that. Obviously, I talk more about Matchroom than I do Frank because Matchroom's bigger than Frank. It's just the way it works, right? I do talk about Frank shows, but I do sometimes watch Frank shows and they just feel a bit dated. They feel a bit dated. I feel like Matchroom do try a bit more. And this is Eddie Hearn's opportunity to make it look good. Again, boxing is back for Eddie Hearn. It's going to be on TV. It's going to be in his back garden. Some people that haven't been to that back garden might have an image like back garden. He will make it look good. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of his vanity project. But it's also important that he stages big fights there. Or 50-50 fights, as he likes to call them. I don't know how big the fights can be over there, but I'd have no problem with it being his vanity project. It's almost like Fight Island is Dana White's vanity project, right? Because the fact is, they're not really fighting. Like, I think the image seems to seem like these UFC guys are actually fighting on the beach, like Mortal Kombat. They're not. They're fighting in a small arena. That's what I've heard anyway. So again, everyone's trying to do their vanity project, so I have no issue with it. As long as the fights are good, I don't care. I don't care if this is Eddie Hearn's vanity project. But I do think it needs to look good for TV. It does need to look spectacular. It needs to look, well, not spectacular, it just needs to look good, right? It can't look crap. It really can't, so we'll see. Back to that, I'm going to talk about this on Ade and Friends, about, I think a lot of heat's coming down about the pay-per-view element of that. So that's White versus Povetkin. Again, just to remind people what is on that pay-per-view card: White versus Povetkin, Katie Taylor versus Bukoli versus Kuzman, and Congo versus Clay. Now, there's been a lot of kickback as to whether that's pay-per-view. I've said that there needs to be levels to pay-per-view, right? I mean, pay-per-view is stuck at $19.95. It's gone up to $24.95 for a couple of events, but it's really $19.95. Like anything, I do think that shouldn't be stuck. So yeah, that shouldn't be stuck in stone, right? That should be there should be some sort of swing with that. Some people might say if there's a swing in it, it could also go the other way, right? Where it swings upwards. Maybe so, but I think that's a pay-per-view fight. I really do. Povetkin versus... Look, the only way White versus Povetkin happens if it's on pay-per-view, especially behind closed doors. It's the only way it happens. Think about it. You're losing a gate, right? A gate nearly 1.5 million. So the only way it happens is if it's on pay-per-view. I'm just happy that we're going to get two top heavyweights in the ring. But maybe that should be I don't know, a £10 pay-per-view, £15 pay-per-view. Maybe they need to look at things like that, where it's still pay-per-view, fans are still having to pay money, but it's not $19.95 in stone. Yeah? If Katie Taylor fights Serrano or Pursoon, that helps. I know Chantel Cameron's been campaigning for it, but again, people will go mad because they want more. I mean, I personally think, remember, that's still a 4-fight card. I hope behind closed doors that Eddie Hearn is trying to get Hughie Fury versus Dave Allen. It's better. That's not, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. If you're going to have Povetkin versus White, Hughie Fury, Dave Allen, Katie Taylor, Serrano, Kuzman, Bukoli, Clay Congo, I'll take that. I'll take that. Bukoli, Kuzman's competitive. White, Povetkin, competitive. Clay Congo, very competitive. Katie Taylor, Serrano, competitive. And Hughie Fury, Dave Allen, some think competitive, but I think fun fight, Hughie Fury wins it easily. Come on, guys, that's 4.5 competitive fights. 4.5, 5.5, whatever it is, I can't remember. Yeah, 4.5. That's not bad. That's not bad. Right now, though, removing Serrano, removing Hughie Fury, Dave Allen, it's weak. It's weak. All right, what else have I got here? I'm rambling on, ain't I? Bloody hell. I've got 30 minutes. I'm not even set up. Got to set up over here. Fury says Wilder will be more dangerous in Trilogy than ever before. Yep, we kind of know that. Obvious statement. Moving on. Sergio Martinez confirms Jose Miguel Fandino in comeback opponent. Yep, we know that as well. Did you see WBA done a live stream of Amir Khan and Marcus Maidana jumped on, which was nice to see. And Amir Khan, it was just very respectful. And Amir Khan was talking about how hard that fight was. And he said that when he hit Marcus Maidana to the body, most fighters would have stayed down. And as soon as he got up, he was like, oh, fuck. And then they asked, like, how tough was it fighting Marcus Maidana? He said every punch Marcus Maidana threw hurt. Every punch. Yeah, that you know what it is? That was definitely Khan's hardest fight, like without a shadow of a doubt. And people might point to the knockouts. Knockout's knockout. You're getting knocked out, right? You actually forget it when you get up. Like, you get knocked out. Khan still got up. Like, even in the Bradis Prescott one, he got up, went to the corner, almost disappointed, right? Looked around. You're okay. That Marcus Maidana one, especially, I think it was round 8 and 9 and maybe 10, were just, oh, boy, they were brutal. Brutal. All right, where are we? Sullivan Barrera willing to drop to 168 for Canelo showdown. I just mentioned that, didn't I? Roberto Duran has survived COVID. Well done, Roberto Duran. This is interesting. Ryan Garcia. De La Hoya sounds like a hater. I don't hold grudges. I can't lie to you, yeah? Ryan Garcia seems like a baby, doesn't he? Just seems like a effing baby. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of De La Hoya as a promoter. As a fighter, massive fan. As a promoter, not so much. But I don't know. Ryan Garcia, it just sounds like Like, first of all, we heard about him turning down $200,000. Whether that was true or not, I don't know. As yeah, he confirmed it, really, didn't he? Which kind of annoyed me, but again, he probably knows what he's worth. You know, I think he thinks he's worth a lot more because he has 6 or so million followers on Instagram, even though 99% of those are probably females who aren't going to tune in to see him fight. That's true. So you got to weigh that up, right? Yeah, it's all well and good having 6 million Instagram followers. How many of them are going to actually come to your fight and pay to see you fight? Or are these people that just click on like button because you've got your top off? I think it's gone to his head a bit. I can't wait to see Luke Campbell bash him up. It's a bit harsh, I know. I wish I could take that back. I don't mean that, but I do think Luke Campbell will bash him up and it will humble him a little bit. That's true, by the way. I think Luke Campbell beats him. I think Luke Campbell could stop him. Yeah, I'll say it now. I think Luke Campbell, but I don't know. It's going to be in America, so Luke Campbell will get robbed on the judges if it's close, but I don't think it will be close. I think it's all hype, personally, but we will see. Anything else? All right, Hughie Fury applies pressure on Dave Allen for agreement. So they are trying to get this fight done. I do like it. I said, I think on the Q&A, that I think Hughie Fury's miles above Dave Allen. Miles above Dave Allen. Like, the gap between them is so big. But I did say that it doesn't seem like it's big from a British standpoint, because if you were to do the top 10 British rankings, Hughie Fury might be number 10. Sorry, Dave Allen might be number 10, which is debatable, by the way. And Hughie Fury might be like number 7 or something, number 6. So it doesn't seem like they're that far away, but they are miles apart. Again, let's not forget the people that Hughie Fury's lost to. Povetkin, Pulev, Parker. All guys at top 10 at the time, right? One of them a world title fight. One of them an IBF final eliminator. And Povetkin was disappointing, but still Povetkin. Still Povetkin, you know? Yeah, Dave Allen got bashed up by David Price. Do you know what I mean? So when people have asked me, oh, it's a good fight, competitive, ain't competitive. Ain't competitive. Hughie Fury, against those level of opposition, so the guys I just mentioned, will back off, will fight on the back foot, because again, those guys are at different levels, so he's not as confident with his ability. Hughie Fury is such a good boxer. I know I'm going to get shut down for this. He's such a good boxer. He's so clean with his work. He's just not as aggressive. But against lower level opposition, he actually is aggressive. And I think he will look at Dave Allen as just lower level opposition. And I think he'll run through him. I think he'll run through him similar to the way in which he ran through Sam Sexton. He'll apply pressure, which is very rare. He will land something clean and stop him. And stop him comfortably. I think he'll get rid of him mid-rounds, 5 or 6. Honestly. I hope that it does get put on. And I think that's the fight he needs. He needs to kind of show that he's way above that level. And then once he gets that, then I would like him to go into that 25 mix. So a couple of names out there, like Molina would be a good fight for him. If Molina is still fighting, I don't know what Molina's doing right now. That would be a good fight. Gerald Washington would be a good fight. Charles Martin will be a good fight. Takam will be a good fight. Helenius will be a tough fight. But those are the kind of guys that I'd like to see him fight. And then we can start trying to mix him in to that top 15 bracket. But there's a few guys out there. But I'm telling you now, he'll bash him. All right, let's have a look. A couple of bits here. Robesi Ramirez gets revenge. Decisions, Adam Gonzalez over 6. For you that are not too familiar with Robesi Ramirez, he's a double Olympic gold medalist. Top Rank signed him. He beat Shakur Stevenson in the Rio Olympics. So they were trying to build a Shakur Stevenson versus Ramirez fight again. But he lost. He lost a split decision to that guy, Adam Gonzalez, about 16 months ago. No, yeah, maybe about a year ago. Got put down. So the hype kind of dropped. I think he's had a couple of fights after that. And now they obviously had to rematch Adam Gonzalez again, beat him comfortably this time every round. So now it's a case of rebuilding him again. It can happen. It can happen. We saw it happen with Loma, right? Loma, but then again, Loma was for a world title, but Loma lost early, then came back. So it can happen. Let's see what Ramirez can do. Look, double Olympic gold medalist tells me he can box, but there is a difference between amateur and pro. We all know that, so let's see. We're going to end on this one because I have a very busy morning. Apologies if this is a short video. Taylor Serrano. Look, I don't think that fight's going to happen anymore. Serrano has been firing shots at Eddie Hearn, so it's not going to happen. But Eddie Hearn has asked for money back for training expenses. So Eddie Hearn gave Serrano $10,000 for trading expenses in preparation for this fight. So he advanced the $10,000. I'm guessing that's money he eventually takes back from her full pay packet. He wants that money back. Like he's saying, if you're not willing to come over and fight, which it doesn't look like she is, pay me that $10,000 back. The only problem is, obviously, Taylor versus Serrano has been scheduled, I believe, 3 times. So, I mean, it's a bit naughty asking for money back, right? I mean, she's obviously been training for this fight in 3 different camps, or 2, maybe not so much this camp. So that money's probably gone, right, on sparring partners and just fitness in general. So yeah, Eddie Hearn just being cheeky. I don't think that fight's going to happen, which is a disappointment. I don't know, man. And this is it, right? We're trying to get female boxing to that place where people are interested. It gets a lot of eyes on it, because I still think it's lacking behind female MMA. And I hate doing that comparison, but what can I do, right? Got to. And I'm only doing that comparison just because Dana White, what was it, 10 years ago, laughed at the idea of females in UFC. They were fighting in Strikeforce, and he was like, they will never fight in the UFC. 10 years later, they're headlining shows. And this year, 2 girls, Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Wei Li, put on, it's Wei Li is her name, right? Put on Fight of the Year. Put on Fight of the Year. So that's how far they've gone. If you compare it to female boxing, you know, right? I mean, again, female MMA stars headlining shows, and it's not even a thing, right? There is no like, oh, why are they headlining? That's how much they've been pushed, headlining shows. And not Ronda Rousey versus Holly Holm done 1 million pay-per-view buys. 1 million pay-per-view buys in Australia, and I think there were 50,000 people there to watch it. And guess what the co-main event was? Another co-main event was females again. And it was another title fight. Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who I'm butchering, defended her title. So they've really pushed it. This fight, Serrano versus Katie Taylor, would have gone a long way in pushing female boxing. It would have gone a long way. And now it might not happen. Because you've got Serrano, who's a 7-weight world champion, right? Not seriously known, but known nonetheless, against Katie Taylor. And for it not to happen is a big blow to female boxing, a big blow. And it would have been co-main event on a pay-per-view card that a lot of people are interested about. What? A lot of people are interested about the main event. So big blow, big blow. All right, anything else before we pack up? Should we run through a quick few stories? MTK Global announced cards August 11th, 25th. August 25th and September 1st. I think Jonah Carroll's on one of those cards as well, so well done to them. Ryan Garcia, my return in August, September will be bigger than Top Rank on ESPN. Everyone will be watching. He thinks a lot of himself, doesn't he, this kid? Thinks a lot of himself. Yeah, I think that is it. Oh, well done to Pedraza, by the way, who came back, now fighting in the 140-pound division. Got a win there. I think dropped his opponent a couple of times. I think the 140 division does need some names in it. He is a name, so let's see what he can do at 140. All right, people. Peace.